Let's get into Tyrese Maxey now, because I know we want to do sort of a deep dive on him as a player. And I want to start with this. First of all, he turns 23 this weekend. He's, I think, a little bit younger. He was definitely younger than I thought as I was researching for this. I thought he was 23 becoming 24, but turns 23 over the weekend. Obviously, he is best, I think, getting downhill. He has a great three-point shot. He's comfortable with some of the sidestep and step-back shots. He can be really dynamic. He's extended early on. He's extended his range a little bit. He looks comfortable taking some of the deep threes. He's had some against Toronto here so far in their two matchups this season. Here's my thing with Maxey. You talked about the point guarding. He is a tremendous off-foot finisher. Driving to the basket, takes the shot at 1/2 step before you expect it, and he has great touch on that. He's very comfortable. He has a great floater, and it's part of his arsenal is that he gets only a quarter step on you, but he finishes off rhythm, and it beats the defender. But I think it actually contributes to part of why he hasn't fully made a leap as a playmaker, because in doing that, it's a different footwork, and you almost have to commit to your shot earlier than most. And as I'm watching some of his pick and roll plays, I try to watch every pick and roll sequence he had this year. There were a lot of times when the right pass or drop off or this or that revealed itself to him after he'd gone into the shooting motion. And I wonder if those two skills are compatible, or if that's a scorer's mentality and you're committing at the foul line to getting into your shot, and it doesn't leave time for everything else to open up.
Valid point. Great observation on your part. And actually, I think it's the answer to it as time will tell. You led me right into where I wanted to go with him. So when you start doing these little deeper dives on these players, I think you ask yourself, well, what makes him different? What is special about Tyrese Maxey? You talk about the off foot or wrong foot finishes. I agree. And in that vein, be a little bit more specific for me. What he does, first of all, end to end with the ball, I think Tyrese Maxey's top 5 in the league. Speed.
Yeah. Oh, transition, he's elite.
In a league full of fast guys, right, it's amazing how some guys are just even faster.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody text me this the other day about Tyreek Hill in the NFL. Like, isn't everybody in the NFL an elite athlete in the wide receiver position? Why is this guy so much faster?
Yeah.
And when you watch Maxey, the effortless acceleration when the ball's advanced to him, or even he brings it up with a dribble out of the backcourt. So that's first, right? He's got next level speed. But it's what you said that makes it special, because it doesn't matter how fast you are if you can't have the ability to jump from where he does and then get the ball off the glass from strange angles with really soft English. Because I probably half a dozen times a night I watch Maxey start to go to the basket, and it looks like there is no way he's getting a quality shot up off the glass based on where he jumped from. He jumped off the wrong foot, and there's a defender right there with length waiting to get this thing, and they never do. So he's got an incredible knack for jumping and maintaining his acceleration in the air.
Yeah.
A lot of guys go and they jump, and it sort of slows their body down, and now that shot blocker comes and it matters. They deflect it. They alter it. He jumps, and when you watch him going through the air at that point, he's going just as fast, but still shoots it soft. Yeah. It's just an innate ability. You can't teach that. You can practice it, but you have to have something in your body that feels comfortable going that fast and still maintain control with the basketball. So that's really what separates him. Now, can he now translate into that exact play we're talking about? Oh, and now here comes Brook Lopez, and now wrap it around his rib cage to somebody for a layup. That's what you're saying. Can he make that decision in midair that now this is the play, a cross-court kick to the corner, a drop,
which he still misses, by the way. He misses those skip passes, I think, more than a typical point guard would miss them, as great as he is. And what's interesting about what we're both saying here is the off-rhythm finish is usually a counterpunch, right? You usually go regular rhythm and then you go off rhythm to beat a guy, but that seems to be his regular punch. He goes to that one almost every single time, and that's what I'm getting at. Is it's almost like he has to develop the regular layup or attack as the counter.
Right. He goes. It's like when he's eating out at one of those Jersey diners that he probably goes to, and he just he orders the usual. That's the usual for him. Like when he doesn't do that, it's kind of strange, right? But that's his thing. It's become, look, I played with a guy an elite level point guard in Rod Strickland, Washington, who was about 6'3", New York point guard, right? And wasn't a great shooter. And he would drive in at him, and he'd have the ball in his hands. And, we're talking about the best shot blockers in the league, and they couldn't get to it because he manipulated the ball in the air, and he put these weird reverse spins on it, on a reverse layup. And it was just like he knew going in that this was about to happen. And that's what Maxey looks like. At first, when I watched him play, it looked like he was kind of wild and out of control when he'd take those angles when it didn't look like anything was there. Now I totally understand. He knows himself, and he knows the timing on this, that he has the time to get to his spot, take off, and then get this thing up on the glass that it has a great chance to finish. And by the way, none of this would matter as much if he wasn't, you talk about his three-point shooting. This isn't he's shooting 50 to start the year, which obviously is really high. That won't stay up. But Adam, he's 42 and 43 the last 2 years. For a guy that plays like this with this level speed, this is super high level efficiency three-point shooting. And it's not just catch and shoots. He shoots it off the bounce really well. If you want to go under a screen, he will stop and make you pay. His deep shooting has been by far the most surprising aspect of his game for me in watching him early in his career. So, look, he's averaging 27 points a game. I think he's got a chance to be in that probably 24, 25 point range. And if he can give you 5-6 assists like he is now with Embiid's improved passing, I mean, this is a real problem for teams when you're talking 60 points a night between two players, and then they hit you with 12 to 15 assists on a given night. Those are two guys operating at a level offensively that they're going to create nightmares.
It's interesting because he's another guy that has a unique, skill set, because you might disagree with this, but I don't know how he is as a straight line driver from a standstill and go. But he does this thing where he'll take almost a banana angle at the basket because he's so quick once he gets going that it's almost like that first dribble gets the speed going, and then he can really burst as he goes towards the basket. And I think one thing Nick Nurse does a good job of is getting him into those dribble pitches so that he's running into it. But this is why the deep three to me is so important. How do you draw the defense out a little bit so you can get that pitch and pitch back action where you're running towards the basket? If you draw the defense out another step, you have a little bit more room to ramp up the speed into the catch and go. And that's where he's unstoppable, is once he gets to be going downhill.
Yeah, and I think, they're going to be an interesting watch, because if they can have someone that they really trust that can also facilitate, it's not fair to him for the outlets to come to him in the backcourt all the time, right? Like most guys that are clearly your point guard, right? Like James Harden, when he was playing there, and he's pretty much his whole career, when the ball comes off the glass to somebody, you're not going to see James Harden take off running the wing.
Right.
And have it advance to him like around half court, and then it go attack, or run the wing and it goes to somebody else, and now they come up and he spots up and he's comfortable. Like, a big part of Maxey's weaponry is the advancement with the ball where he's already taken off. And that might mean the ball goes to somebody else first initially, because if a big guy gets it, like say Paul Reed's in the game, he's not going to want to take a couple dribbles and advance up the sideline. He wants to get it out of his hands as fast as he can to the first guard he sees. And if that means Maxey is not the closest outlet, he needs to run. And that's a big part of who he is. But now the ball has to be advanced from somebody else accurately, so he catches it just as he's crossing half court or a little bit beyond. And he literally, at that point, with his speed, 1 to 2 dribbles, and he is in scoring range. And that's something they've got to find, because right now they don't really have that guy on their roster. Oubre, probably of everybody, is the most equipped to do it, but he's also a guy that's a raw scorer. He's thinking about getting his up too. This is where Maxey's such a fascinating player, because he's got so much there. And this entire year for me is going to be about finally finding out his ceiling, because it's been a lot of splashes and flashes, but always had James Harden or Simmons, like somebody lurking there. He was in their shadow, and Embiid. No, not now, man. Go, young man. Let's find out what you are. And early returns, this kid's got a chance to be really special as elite level scorer in this league.
I like what I heard from Taryn Hatcher, sideline reporter for the 76ers on the broadcast last night, which said that, Nick Nurse is really leaning into the point guard development aspect of Maxey this season. And he's having Maxey lead film sessions. not giving him pointers, but just saying, walk me through this game. Let's look at the tape and you tell me what's going on. So I think it's very front of mind of Nick Nurse of this is a guy who has a very tremendous, he's great at the things he's great at, but for him to take the leap I think he can be an all-star as a scoring guard, a scoring combo guard, which is what he is. I think that's an all-star caliber player. To be a champion, you probably want to up the playmaking and some of those other types of things. And so I like the report from Taryn Hatcher last night that Nick Nurse is, it seems, very, very focused in on this.